Okay, so I have the questions lined up, so I'll get right into it. So how would you describe your current job search process and what led you to start looking for jobs online?
Okay. So my job search process involves using LinkedIn.
Okay.
Um, and then I work in the legal industry, right? So I try to use legal recruiters.
The niche ones, right? There's like niche websites.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of one off the top of Robert
Yeah.
Half
Okay.
is the one that I use. And I'll get like I'll get responses. I'll get calls from like emails from people asking me if I want, if I'm interested in the position. They'll give me a description of it. But in terms of finding the right job for me, it's a little tough only because I'm originally from New York. So I have a New York salary living in Houston, Texas. So when I go to search for jobs, it's usually under my base salary.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna that was one of my questions later on. Do you what do you prioritize uh, um as your as like the basis for what you're looking for? Is that one of the it's like that one of the first filters you use?
The first filter is always going to be I could take a lateral move, but I can't take a pay cut, right?
Yeah.
And then secondly, it has to be a right fit for me in terms of what they're looking for, right? Because I'm a corporate paralegal and assistant corporate secretary. So my job pretty much runs the gambit. I could be a generalist pretty much,
Right.
but um I'm trying to narrow my focus down to like intellectual property first and then corporate governance, mergers, and acquisition second.
Okay.
So, what I was originally hired for, that's second on my list now. I want to be more intellectual property and branding.
Okay.
So, the problem in my field is when you narrow down what you want to do,
Yeah.
your salary gets narrowed down as well, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, for me, when I look for a job, I read the description and then I look at what I want to do versus what the job is asking me to do, right? So,
Uh-huh.
like, I've gotten calls and they're like, oh, we're looking for a corporate governance paralegal. Well, I don't want to do that anymore as my main focus.
Right.
So, one of the problems is readjusting, right?
Hmm.
So even though I'm still within the law, it really is a career adjustment, right?
Right, right.
Because a lot of time, and that's why I work in a corporate department versus a law firm. Because if I worked and that's another thing, I'm not 100% ready to go back into a law firm environment. You know what I mean? So that's another thing. Like I could get a job in a law firm like that. Um, but is it what I want to do, right? The
Right.
billing, going into an office, right?
Yeah.
We're going back to the return to office deal.
Yeah.
And I've gotten comfortable being remote since 2020. So
Yeah.
that's another hindrance for me
Okay.
is I'm not willing to go back into the office right now.
Well, yeah, well that's I mean you bring up a bunch of great points that I kind of forgot to do in my research that you know now that we're post pandemic that there's a whole work from home office, and I didn't realize that would be a priority. That's so interesting that you mentioned that. Um,
That's a priority for me.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a huge culture change probably that happens, that's happened in the general, I just didn't, just because we were so used to just for a whole 2 centuries of working in an office. Um, so I have a follow-up question. Once you found a possible job you like, do you do your homework on that company? Like, do you go to Glassdoor? Do you ask about, other people's experiences? And do you do your homework before an interview?
I actually do. I tend to read about the company that I'm going to be interviewing for. Um, and I do ask questions like, what are you looking for in this role? Is there an opportunity for growth? Is there an
Uh-huh.
opportunity to work within another um field,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things I learned about paralegals and law firms. They are they almost get pigeonholed, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're really good at real estate, you have a real estate attorney that really likes you, and that attorney is not going to let you go. That is the reality of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I look at a job, I want to look at the opportunity to learn different things, even if it's not going to be my focus. I like my hands in a little bit of things, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to learn what, even though, like, my job right now, I'll tell you, it grew. It started out as just checking conflicts for contracts.
Yeah.
Then it grew into like governance. Then it grew into intellectual property. So when I look for a job now, I look for growth.
Okay.
And in my age bracket, I don't know if you know, but I'm within an age bracket, right? 40 and over. So I have to think about that too. Um, do I want to start over? Do I want to go back and be like day one,
Yeah.
fresh out of college, trying to figure out and navigate? So for me, as a seasoned, I will pat myself on the back. As a seasoned professional, I've been in my job for 19 years and I've been a paralegal for over 20. Um, I tend to be very picky as a professional, right? Because then it's the 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years,
Right.
and then 15 years and over experience. So I look at myself as the 15 and over experience. So I'm not willing to start over.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I definitely go through the same thing when I'm looking for jobs. You know, you just feel that, when they say, when does that lead you? Like, I'm sure that's a huge filter that when you see something that says, um, 2 to 5 years experience, you go, okay, I'm not looking for that. Is there like immediate red flags that you use to filter?
Yes,
Yeah,
because if they, like you just said, um, if you look at a job and they're like, I want you to have uh 2 years paralegal experience. I know I'm already above that 2 years.
yeah,
So they're not willing to pay me. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, you could tell, right? That's something that they're kind of putting out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. Wow, that's really good insight. That's going to help me with my research. Well, I know we're running out of time, so I just want to just go into the last question. Um, what sort of do you use the new automated AI tools? For example, I think ZipRecruiter has Phil. There's Indeed, and LinkedIn allows you to like kind of like polish. You can write, it asks you some questions and then it polishes. How have you, I'm sure since you've been in the industry, well, working for, for a good while, how have you used the new AI tools that are provided to you?
Okay, so this is where this conversation gets interesting. Um, Personally, I don't use AI tools because I feel like I like using my brain. I
Yeah,
like using my own
that's
brain,
fresh.
my own tools. Like even at work, attorneys will be like, "Oh, I use ChatGPT to draft a cease and desist letter," and I'm like, "No, you could have drafted that from your brain."
Right.
So for me, it may take me a little longer to do a task where it's drafting a pleading or
Yeah.
a response, but I'm using my brain. So I am against using AI tools,
Yeah.
but I can see the use for them. I understand the use and the need, but I personally I want to be in the weeds digging up the dirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want to take the bulldozer, like I want to go pull up the weeds myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand the need for AI, understand the
Right.
need for understanding it and how it's advancing technology,
Yeah.
but we also have to understand that these are
It's a
tools.
tool. It's not a shortcut. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, my last question is, do you put notifications? Like, do you get like an like kind of like an overflow? Do you
I
use them?
do. I
Yeah.
do. And here's the thing about using LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter versus reaching out to an actual employment agency or recruiter.
Yeah.
Those jobs, everybody and their mother is applying for those jobs.
Right.
So by the time I get the email, 50 people have already replied for it.
Yeah. LinkedIn
And it
even
may
has
not even
something.
be available anymore. Like a lot of it is not real time job search.
Right, right. I mean, you can see LinkedIn sometimes says 100 people have applied. It came up 2 days ago, and kind of like it's a little
Yes.
daunting.
Yeah. So that is my it's good to see what's out there via LinkedIn and
Yeah,
ZipRecruiter, but I'm an advocate of using an actual recruiter like a Robert Half and a Deco because they have real time live jobs. You know what I mean?
yeah,
By the time the recruiter for ABC company goes through the resumes for LinkedIn, you're not even a thought process anymore by the time you apply. You have to think about what the recruiters have to go through too, right?
right,
So
right.
they're like, oh, LinkedIn, let's just post a job on LinkedIn and see what happens. Well,
Yeah,
now you're going to get 250 resumes and you've got to weed through those. So by the time you weed through those, that job is no longer available. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Wow. Well, that wraps it up. You've given me great insight in thinking about, positioning yourself on both sides, not just thinking about, you as the job looker, but also what they're going through on their side. Um, well, yeah, well, basically that wraps us up. I don't want to take any more of your time, so I really appreciate you opening up a little bit of time for me, and this is gonna help me a lot.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
have any follow-up questions, you could just text me or whatever. Like,
okay.
your mom is amazing. I don't get to hang out with them as much just because life is lifing,
Yeah. Yeah.
But anything I could do to help, and that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Not only room for growth, but room to cross train, right? Like you don't want to get pigeonholed in your job where it's like, oh, she just shuffles paper. Oh, but she can teach someone else how to shuffle paper so she can do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So cross training,
Cross
room
training.
for growth. Those are the questions I ask. And sometimes they're like, no, this is exactly what you're going to be doing for like the rest of your life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And that's a red flag for me too.
Yeah.
Like I need to grow. Like even at my age, I still have professional life left in me.
Right. Right.
So you really have to have that backing to
Yeah.
be motivated to apply for a job when you're in a certain career level.
Well, yeah, that's great insight. Yeah, you would think that just some people would wanna, like the personal assistant job where it's just kind of just doing the same thing over and over again.
Right. Right. And if that's your comfort zone, then stay in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But that's not my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I get shut out of a lot of jobs because I do ask, what's the room for growth? And I think it alarms them that she's not going to be here long. We
Yeah.
want her to do this and she wants to do more. So she's
Right.
not going to be here long. So I don't, and I think that's why I don't get a lot of callbacks is because one, I don't want to return to office. And two, I am proactive about growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same way. Of just of like every day has to be different. It's just like the excitement of like the challenge, right? And then if it's just not challenging, then why are you doing it? Where's the purpose?
Right,
Like,
because we spend a big chunk of our time in our place of employment.
right, right.
So that's what I look for. I'm like, I'm gonna be spending a lot of hours here. And I'm a person, I work inside hours, outside hours. So if
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to give, if I'm willing to give this much to you, you've got to give me some growth potential.
Yeah. Okay, well, that wraps us up, and thank you so much. I definitely will follow up on any questions that I could get a little more from you, especially um questions that you or the way that you answered a few things about, having specific needs,
Yes.
and that might come up with a few more questions to help me with my overall research. So anyway, I won't take any more of your time, so we can end here. But I really appreciate it, and thank you for taking your time with me.
Of course. Good luck to you.
Okay,
And it's
thank you.
always great to see, like, this is what I like. I love learning processes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love learning and growth process.
yeah,
And I'm a person that has a service heart. So it really does. It's a good thing and a bad thing when you're in corporate America, right? You have a
yeah.
service heart, they will
It
take
will
all of your
run.
heart.
Yeah, you
So
give that inch,
you
and they take the mile.
yeah, so balance, that's another thing. Balance is important as you leave your career, as you're I'm on the spectrum of I've given 20 plus years and now I don't want to coast. I have a lot of life left in me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But I do see the benefit, and I don't want to start all over again as a college student fresh out of college
Yeah.
because I have more experience than a college student.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I know how to find that balance in my life now, even if my company won't give it to me. I find my own balance.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to return to office.
Yeah, okay. I see that. Yeah, I mean, I was one time I took a business coaching class, and I'll never forget, we hear it in different philosophy, and the wheel of life, where you need a little bit of everything. You can't just have that one weight,
Yeah,
that you're
I
just
was
there to
hungry
serve.
when I first started. I was so
Yeah.
hungry. I could have been on my 600-pound life. That's how hungry I was.
Yeah.
But I've filled myself, and now I'm at a point where I know intellectual property and corporate governance. Maybe I want to learn treasury a little more. Maybe I want to learn about tax law. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I want the opportunity to learn those things and not be pigeonholed.
Okay. Well, that sums up a really, really good interview. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Okay.
And
Thank
again,
you.
I'm happy to answer any questions,
Okay, I
follow
will.
up questions.
I'll definitely take you up on that. Thank you so much, She.
Have a nice day.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.